Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. welcome to the Expand Your Land Investor live stream. And today I thought we'd bring in a guest who people might actually like to look at instead of just having me on here. We have the co-owner of the company, my lovely wife, Megan Bell.
Hello.
She's very new to live streaming here, so everybody make sure to give her a warm welcome for the millions of people viewing this stream.
You're supposed to tell people. You're supposed to act like I'm normal.
Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, this live stream is supposed to be just an informal forum to talk about land, talk about life, talk about, well, really whatever we feel like talking about that day. So, Megan, what are you drinking today?
It's got a little white wine. Usually a red drinker, but, don't want red on the teeth. So, we're going with white today.
Do it for the viewers.
For all of the viewers.
And I'm having a little bit of Miller Lite in a glass because we're not savages. Made right here in Fort Worth, so it's kind of a go-to for me. So, Megan, what were your thoughts when I came to you one day and was like, babe, I think I'm going to learn how to buy and sell vacant land?
I thought you were crazy, but I think that often when you come to new ideas, you had come to me with many ideas before that, and I thought they were all a bit crazy. This one, you came out with a book, and I was just very unsure. I didn't understand exactly what we were getting into. The more you explained it, the more it sounded like a really good fit for our family, but very confused.
Do you remember what we were really getting ready to do before I found the land business?
We were about to do something.
I was really obsessed with the idea of buying one of those ice machines.
Okay, you looked at ice machines and car washes.
And car washes.
Car washes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we looked at vending machines.
Yeah.
We drove around to car washes, and there were a lot of different ideas that, again, they all seem a little crazy. I know they make sense, but they all seem a little crazy. You came from a pretty standard sales job. So it was a big jump to just understand that we're about to start something with land.
And has there been anything that's surprised you about the land business? Is it what you thought it was going to be, or
I didn't think anything about it. I didn't. I had no idea. We had a meeting, and I was like, I still don't know. I don't know if this was what we should be doing. The longer we talked about it, you just became very certain, and then you really felt confident about the idea, and you liked what you were selling. You hadn't always sold things that you were super proud of or really felt strongly about at the end. So this is something you felt really strongly about. So it felt like a good fit.
That's true. I liked that we were able to start off pretty small with some pretty inexpensive properties to where the risk is really pretty low on a lot of those. We started out doing our first deals were in Arkansas, and we still do deals there to this day sometimes. One of the nice things about those Arkansas properties is they're dirt cheap, right? They're not big lots, but you can pick one up for a very reasonable price. And
every time you'd gone out there, you talked about how beautiful the area was. So you were always pretty happy about every time you would go, as much as they were cheap, they actually were quality land and some beautiful area and some water that were
Yeah, it's kind of
I don't think we would have known about.
It's kind of shocking that you can get out like to these places and you're like, this land cost me like how much? What? Like this is actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of far away from everything. Is for the most part, it's kind of one of the things that makes it inexpensive. And that's funny too that you talked about, that I went out there. And I think that's something that we do that a lot of the people that do the same thing, same business model, they do the same thing, never ever go out to their properties. And I think that's, I don't know, it wouldn't work for us. You know,
we like to see what we're selling. I think we like to give an honest description, like as much as we can see in pictures until you get out there and know the roads and the area. I think you just can give a really full picture of what you're buying and selling.
Yeah, I mean, you could be like, oh, all you got to do is you got to go down the corner store there and then take a right and it's over on your left and you can't miss it, kind of, we actually understand the area. And sometimes there's like these beautiful features that you would probably be lost on you, like it's actually like next to a lake, or like the lake is actually a lot prettier than it looks on Google Maps or Google Earth. So, you get out there and fly the drone around and really get a feel for the area, feel for, what all you would actually be able to do with this land. So, yeah, that's been really cool going out to these places. So, what would you say our work-life balance is like? Let's shift gears for a second here.
There's no actual balance. I think most of our conversations include land. We have to tell ourselves at dinner that we're not going to talk about land for a little bit or talk about the business, which usually doesn't really work the whole dinner. But, we spend most of our time together, which we really enjoy. So we talk about everything and anything. So land just happens to be a very big topic in our life.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because you don't really see Megan in a lot of our videos. Today's a special day. You don't see her a lot of times, but she knows every single thing that's going on in this business. and so Megan knows more about the land business than like most people. So it's kind of funny because I mean we really do talk about it all day long. So yeah, that's kind of tricky to. Some days I got to be like, okay, I'm not going to talk about it today. And then towards the end of dinner, I'm like, hey babe, what about this one thing?
It's constant. It's a big part of our lives. It's what we do, and we really enjoy it. I think our conversations about it are, sometimes good and sometimes not good. But yeah, I stay in the know about every detail of this business. Some maybe I don't want to, but we do. He lets me know.
So do you think that most couples could handle running a business together, working together day in and day out?
No. Now, when we talk about it anyone we meet, everyone's first response is, oh my gosh, I could never. Like, how do y'all do it? But we just really enjoy each other's time. I think it's difficult, but I think part of that is that we literally talk all day long. And so
it's true.
And so when we don't, if we didn't have this to talk about, I think that would be really hard, kind of a separation in our lives that we just kind of don't have. But but most people really find it alarming that we can work together without getting
Alarming.
I think most people are like, oh, I like my time away during the day, but
True.
we don't have that.
Um,
How do you feel about working with me?
I love it. I love it. One of the things that you do that really, really helps me is right before we get ready to launch a new property. There's a lot of things that are going on. We're having to put together a bunch of marketing stuff. We build these landing pages, these basically one-page website for every single property. And on that web page, there has to be a YouTube video, and there has to be all of the information about the property that you would need to make the decision to buy it. So that means we have to have all the numbers for how much it's going to cost, all the information from the county, nice description of the property, and then we also write our emails that we send out to launch the property. The people on our email list get first access to our property. So before we put them on Facebook, before we put them on a land listing site, it goes out to our email list, and a lot of times it just sells there.
Yeah.
Right. So what you do that helps me so much is you look at all these landing pages and all these ads, and most of the time I have a real bad tendency to put like way too many commas.
Jared loves a comma.
I love a comma.
Loves a comma.
And so
Loves a comma.
she checks the spelling and she says, hey, I don't like the way this is written. Like, let's change this. Or
aesthetically is really like even
Yeah.
the way it just looks. On a
you
phone
check
or-
how it looks on a phone versus on a desktop, that kind of stuff, and that's super duper helpful. I'm very grateful for that, and that's a lot of the like behind the scenes like work. What is the work? That's what it is, right?
What do you think you've learned about me, like since we started a business together that you didn't really know about me before?
That I think I knew this, but like it's just been like reaffirmed, like that you have like so much grit, right? And that you're like willing to stay in this even when it's really hard, because some days it is really hard. A couple weeks goes by and we hadn't had a good sale in a while, and it's like, oh gosh, are we gonna keep doing this? But we just stick with it and we just keep plugging away, and you've been so supportive, and it's been really, really nice.
Like how creative you are. I really just didn't see that full side. You like make up a lot of stories. You love to tell a story. And I've always known that, but I've like seen a big creative side from you that has been really impressive.
It's been like really fun to actually try to figure out, some of these properties are tricky, right? We have to find the right person to buy them, right? And there's a person out there for every single property in the United States, in the world. But some of them have a lot more limited group of buyers. I think we're going to see one here in a minute that a lot of people will agree it's not for everyone, right? It's rugged, it's out there, but still really cool in its own way. So, let's see. So we get a couple of questions this week. One of them is asking about, just got this question. So I showed a property on here last week. It's actually already claimed. So it's marked as pending right now. but will likely be sold by Friday. Um, but that was Rustic Road in Mineola, Texas. Is the quarter-acre lot in the Holiday Pines subdivision. It's completely unrestricted. And I got a question about what kind of easements apply to Rustic Road. And that's pretty basic on this one. This one has road frontage in front of the property, so there's no you don't have to drive through somebody else's place to get there. No access easements. There's a utilities easement in front of the property. There's power lines, and that's about it. So that one's pretty simple. And I guess the fence could be considered that. The fence that's along one side. But so that's a good property. That's one of these East Texas properties. We get these, and they sell so fast.
Yes, I mean most people, that's what they're looking for. I mean, we live pretty close. You get some beautiful lots out there. So
yeah, so people from the Metroplex, from it's a really easy drive from Dallas to you can just drive down there and see it, and if you like it, you'll get it. And that's what I'd say, most of these people actually go out to see it before they buy it.
Yeah, I mean, these have all been very close to a lake, walkable to a lake, which is just a dream.
Yeah. We've had some super nice ones, and we kind of keep running out of them. So let's see. Shall we show a property?
Let's do it.
What do you think? All right, let's see. Let me get this pulled up. All right. Okay. This is a property that we're getting ready to bring back on the market. This one, we call it Jones Spur. It is in Culbertson County, Texas, which, if you don't know where that is, there's a town out in deep West Texas called Van Horn, and it's just north of there. So famously, Van Horn, Texas is where Jeff Bezos launches the Blue Origin rocket from. So a few weeks ago, you saw Katy Perry went to space. It was just north of this property that we're taking a look at now. So this one is 5.7 acres, and the nice thing about this one is you can buy almost 6 acres for a super duper reasonable price. This one is $399 down, $164 a month for 84 months. So you can pick this thing up just over 10,000 bucks. The thing to know about it is the road access. You can drive out and you can get pretty close to it with a 2-wheel drive, but to make it the full way, I would want to have 4-wheel drive. So I drove out there and I took these pictures myself, and it was the thing that surprised me. It was surprisingly green. I actually went and camped out at another lot that was just very close to this one, so kind of the same terrain, and it was absolutely beautiful. At night, the stars were insane, and let's see if we can get that going again. Here we go. So yeah, this one was really, really fun to travel to. But yeah, you're gonna want 4-wheel drive. It's the person that's gonna buy this and love it is buying it for a recreational property. If you want somewhere you can go out, you can take the 4-wheelers, you can take the dirt bikes, you can pew your bang bangs. nobody cares what you're doing out here. I mean, look at this place, right? You've got the Guadalupe Mountains back there in the background. You can see like Sierra Peak is one of the big ones. Eagle Peak is out there. So this is pretty cool place. So you're either buying it for a recreational property or you're gonna buy it for a pure investment, right? You're gonna buy it, you're gonna hang on to it, and then as time goes on, values will appreciate on pretty much everything. So that it's a good one for that. And can you guess what the taxes are? What do you think the property taxes every year on this property are? 5.7 acres.
Oh, $10 to $100.
Pretty close.
Okay.
The property taxes on this, I looked as I was researching for this, are $1.85 a year.
I almost said one. I went 10. Okay.
So this is
10.
a property like you can buy and you can like afford to stay in this property, right? Like, I've heard a couple of like crazy stories where like somebody's like grandpa died and gifted them a property, but the taxes are like $15,000 a year, right? Like, and if you're not prepared for that, like, grandpa didn't do you a favor giving you this property. He just like gave you a bunch of debt. So a property like this is super nice for that. So you can buy it, you can afford to hold on to it, and if you want to do nothing with it, you can do exactly that. So that's why I like this property. We were driving around and we saw like some guy who had like a cool like off-road truck, and it has like the rooftop tent, and I was like,
that's your dream.
It really is the dream. And I thought to myself, like, that guy could be one of our customers, I think. Like, that's who's buying these lots. Do you have a rooftop tent? This is, just consider it. I don't know. Well, cool. What else? How's the Sauvignon Blanc?
Well, I started with a really big pour, so I didn't have to re-pour it, but I'm halfway through.
Let's see. Let's see if we can find some other questions that we've had this week. We get hundreds and hundreds of questions about our properties. Here's one asking like how far is this from Houston? This it's probably about 9 hours from Houston, somewhere in there. So it's a bit of a drive. Let's see. There's a few. If you ever want like the GPS like coordinates or directions or anything, the best, or if you have like specific questions, the best way is to email us, Jarod, Jarod, at expandyourland.com is a good one. Or you can always text us at 817-631-1858.
I need to get a jingle so people remember it.
I know, we should get a jingle. Let's see. We've had a couple of people reach out, and they originally reached out about our West Texas property, but then they realized that we have some properties out in East Texas, and they're like, "Ooh, I want that one." So that happens a decent amount. Okay, okay. Here's one for a question that's pretty applicable to this Jones Spur property. They said, are there any natural waterways or collection places? Hard to tell from any aerial photos. Are there any restrictions? So there are, you could drill a well out here. So there's, number one, you're not going to be able to get water out here. It's very unlikely you could get electricity. So you're kind of on your own. So this is kind of an off-grid setup. You could drill a well. You always have to get a permit when you drill a well. On these ones in Culbertson, I've seen a couple of wells drilled in the area. I don't know how accurate these reports are, but I've seen a couple of them drilled at like 470 feet. It's kind of the depth. So, and that's a pretty significant expense to drill a well that deep. So a lot of people haul their water in. There is a place in Van Horn where you can either you can call them and they'll deliver it out to you, or you can go and fill it up in town there. And Sierra Blanca is the other town we sell a bunch of land in, and they have a spot to go and fill up your water. A lot of people have cisterns, so those big old plastic water tanks, and they'll be underground or above ground. We've got another special guest wanting to join.
Come on, Craig.
Oh, and there she is.
This is my best friend. She's a
This is-
corgi.
This is Yamper.
Say hi.
Yep.
Ah! She likes the camera more than
Yeah.
Mama.
Yeah, I see that.
Say hi.
So as far as water goes, that's probably what you would want to do out there. Let's see. What other questions should we answer here?
Does anyone care about my corgi?
Give us a like if you like the corgi. All right. Well, I think this has been a good time. You know, I'm pretty happy about the live stream. Yamper made it on the live stream, so thank you everybody that decided to watch. Do us a huge favor and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps us a ton, and we look forward to hearing from you.